Now, a lot of people are already thrilled with their BlackBerry, and RIM has come out with their response to the iPhone. This is a funkier version of the BlackBerry called the Storm. Now, it's a little more closed as far as adding applications in the iPhone. There's just not as many applications to add. It doesn't quite have the flexibility that the iPhone boasts, but it is a remarkable device in its own, and it's got a lot of appeal, especially the business crowd that loves their BlackBerry but longs for some of the fun and flexibility of the iPhone. And as you can see when we look at them side by side, not much to choose between them. They're very similar as far as their size and screen. They are really, and they work very similarly in a lot of areas. Both of them we navigate through with a touchscreen. And if we take a look here at the BlackBerry Storm's touchscreen, we see that when I go into the application area, it works in a lot of ways the same as the iPhone. For example, I can brush my finger up and down on the screen and scroll up and down. Even though it appears on the surface to be pretty much identical as far as navigation to the iPhone, in fact, using this touchscreen is very difficult because while the iPhone is a true touchscreen, the screen you tap on the screen, it's like clicking it with a mouse. Instead, with the BlackBerry, as we move our finger around on the screen, we can highlight different applications, but they're not actually enacted until we actually press down on the screen. And when we press down on the screen, we can actually feel a physical click happen. It's sort of like with a bottle cap. You know the bottle caps when you push them and they go pop, 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 pop? It's that kind of feel, which gives you really nice positive feedback. Works quite well. So if I want to go into the clock application, I can highlight it, and then when I press down, I get that click, and there I am, brought into the clock application. Now I can still do all of my navigation by scrolling and brushing back and forth, but when I actually want to do something like say OK to exit, I don't just touch it, I have to touch it and press down to click it. That's how this basically works. Now, the big difference is that you're going to notice is not necessarily just navigating into and out of applications, but where the biggest difference is going to be is when we're sending text, when we're writing emails or sending short text messages and SMS messages. And I want to show you that next. I'm going to launch the SMS application, and you see here the full-width QWERTY keyboard that RIM has designed for this Storm. Now, RIM is really proud of their work on keyboards. In fact, one of the hallmarks of the original BlackBerry was the excellent design of the keyboard. It's what really launched RIM to success. The fact that we could, with a tiny little device, be able to type effectively with our thumbs. They basically created the whole concept of thumb typing. Now, when Apple threw down the gauntlet of creating a good keyboard, which they did for their iPhone, RIM responded with this particular keyboard. And it is, some would believe, a real step forward. And once again, as I move my finger along, all of the letters get highlighted, but they actually don't get put down on the page until we press down and feel that click. So as I go into it, I can now click down and it starts to actually put in the letters. And it's got predictive text. If you make a slight typing mistake or if it predicts the word coming up, it'll speed things up by bringing that word out for you so you can choose it. Now I want to show you, if you don't want to use it in landscape mode, you can also turn it sideways and it'll automatically switch into a multi-tap keyboard where you hit once or twice on the key depending on what letter you want, and you have a little bit more room on the screen now for your text. It works well both ways. That's going to be really the big differentiation for a lot of people between the iPhone and the Storm, is the amount of text that you have to input and how comfortable you are with the different interfaces. Personally, since I've spent so much time on the BlackBerry before, I find this typing interface to be a little bit better for me than the iPhone's interface, but the iPhone is still better in things like some of the media areas. We'll find some other differences in how we deal with telephony. For example, built into the Storm right away is the ability to do voice commands, so you can dial by voice, whereas that's an application you currently have to add on to the iPhone. But one thing you can be sure is these two companies will continue to leapfrog each other as far as innovation and technology, because really, both these phones, they're the standard bearers for the new generation of smartphones. They're really amazing devices that we really only had time to scratch the surface on today. Rest assured of one thing though, they are both perfect gifts under the tree for those who need it all, want it all, and use it all.